Sean, it's so good to have you here. You work at Wrangler, arguably one of, if not the best known jean brand in the world. Um, and I'm excited for what we're going to be talking about today. I think one of the big themes of our conversation is going to be this idea of the importance of brand storytelling, and more specifically around this idea of tapping into a brand's heritage. So I'm excited to get more into this. But before we do, tell me a little bit about yourself. What is your role at Wrangler? And then we'll go from there.
Sure. Yeah. Hi, Stephen. And it's a pleasure to be here with you. A bit about me. I'm a fashion designer from the UK, from just outside London. I've been very early in my career focused on denim design. And, I've basically specialized in that. I've been working for about 18 years now in the jeans industry, designing, creating all different categories, but always with a big focus on denim, which has its very own unique kind of ways of creating, choosing fabrics, trims, fits. It's a full spectrum of kind of like it's different from many other products. I've been with Wrangler for such a long time. I often don't like to think about it because it's way longer than many designers stick around, but there's always been another great reason to stay. And over the time I've been at Wrangler, which is over 15 years, the role has changed and evolved, and I feel like now I really have like the best job in the world for what I do in terms of thinking and creating and talk about storytelling here with you today. That's become a big part of my role. So my role is global creative concept director for the modern business. So Wrangler, based in North Carolina in Greensboro. I've for a long time been working in Antwerp, where I'm based, because they've had a big European headquarters here in Belgium. And I've been always working with the European business. And over the last 4 or 5 years, we've globalized. My role became global, and I work now very closely with our VP design in Greensboro and the design teams. And I focus on bringing new, energetic, exciting stories, innovations, concepts to the team and to the brand, and look to I always think about the potential of Wrangler, like the opportunities for the brand to be more meaningful to a younger audience, to a broader audience. And I'm kind of obsessed with trend and understanding the dynamics of the market, and like globally, not just in North America. And I think that has enabled me to. I work remotely at the moment. I have colleagues here in Belgium, colleagues in Switzerland, but all of the design is based in Greensboro. But that has worked out, and I still have this opportunity to build stories, think about product ranges, think about collaborations. I work a lot on those kind of projects, and come also with fresh thinking to the brand. And I suppose one of the big attributes, because I said I'm a denim guy, I've been working with jeans and denim all my career, and I have a big personal sort of passion around that. So I love the archives of the brand. I love the history. Over the years, I've kind of developed there's not so many people in the brand who know the ins and outs and when jeans are from and when things changed, and so I know the history inside and out. I have connections to the people around the world who know the bits that I don't know, and I will always, we just celebrated the anniversary last year in 2022, and a big part of that was even telling the people inside the business about the history, and then going to our customers and then to our consumers about this incredible history and legacy of a brand over 75 years. But of course, the story does go back further than 75 years, which I do love to tell. And I suppose that gives me a certain amount of like gravitas. If I think about new, exciting, dynamic concepts for the brand, I always root them in like obviously storytelling, but connected to the DNA of the brand, like the real heritage, what makes Wrangler Wrangler. I always keep very much top of mind, and it helps me to navigate trends and navigate opportunities for the brand and find synergies a lot of the time with other partners and collaborators, which I really enjoy doing. So my work is about research, it's about innovation, it's definitely about trends and fashion. And I think all of that led me to sort of NFTs, Web3, and this sort of opportunity to make a mark in our anniversary year by kind of yeah, thinking about a project, a product that we launch in our anniversary year that will be important in 75 years time. That was kind of what we wanted to do, like a concept car of where apparel, where jeans, where is all this going in the future? And that's where the NFT project came in for us.
It's amazing to hear you talk about new technologies, specifically Web3 NFTs, but then the importance of staying true to like who you are, what Wrangler is. And so, a company, you said you just celebrated, was it 75 years?
Yeah. So the
Dating
brand
back
was
to 1947?
That's right.
So, yeah, I mean, talk to me about what was that like to then you see the opportunities Web3 presented. How did that conversation even begin? To like, hey, we're going to enter this space, but we're going to enter it, thoughtfully and with intention.
Yeah, sure. So midway through 2021, I think it was, and by this time I'd already been working for. So generally in my normal sort of work, you have these quite short development cycles, these go-to-market plans, and 6 months is basically what I'm used to working with, developing, creating concept, working it through. In the case of the anniversary, there was a longer kind of runway. We were thinking and planning and putting things in place like 18 months before. So already worked on, capsule ideas, partnerships, for example, Leon Bridges, which we'll come on to. And there was lots of exciting things in the mix that were celebrating the heritage of the brand and the storytelling from where the brand comes from. Midway through 2021, I personally it clicked for me, the opportunity with NFTs, like digital ownership. And a specific part kind of got me thinking straight away. And it was this idea of NFC chips that were attached to the product, and this idea that the product can be connected to the blockchain. A lot of what I do is like thinking about like delivering the message to the consumer in really effective ways. And we have a hang tag, right, or a paper ticket that's pulled off the pant and it's gone. And often over the years, I've struggled to deliver that message or that story onto products. So this idea that a chip can first of all, like verifiable and the idea that it's authenticated is really exciting when I think about jeans, especially premium jeans and old jeans and things like that. So there's something I like about the blockchain and denim as a kind of a product that's made to last for a very long time and be passed on. I've lost a bit my thread.
No, well, yeah. I mean, tell me about the Leon Bridges partnership and how that all kicked off.
Yeah, so we had Leon Bridges, which was a super exciting kind of music partnership for the brand, and like stretching into new spaces. He's a Texan guy, through and through, and we have a really nice connection to him in terms of he was discovered because of his Wranglers. He tells a great story that he was in a bar in Fort Worth, and he was wearing these vintage. He's not really a jeans guy, but he was wearing a pair of vintage Wrangler bootcut jeans that day. And the person who got talking to him was eventually the wife or partner of the I forget the guy's name who made the deal with him, and he got his first record label from that conversation at the bar.
Wow.
And like he's just through and through kind of soul and spirit, and we love him as like a muse for our celebration in last year. So we had this collaboration coming with collection, but he asked us on the side to make this one-off jean and jacket for him, which is inspired by a heritage piece. It's from like the rodeo clowns of the 1940s and 50s with this big, tobacco colored embroidery Wrangler jeans, shirts, jackets. And he asked us for that custom made. We made it for him. He posted it on his Instagram, and it was like, wow. Because I've been doing a lot of research at the time around like metaverse fashion and digital fashion and, NFTs, and just kind of understanding and seeing how this plays out, so much more expressive, how digital fashion can become and the way people are adopting skins. And I saw this outfit with this big embroidery on it and thought, this is a perfect product for Wrangler, like bold, visual, heritage, for us to have as our first metaverse wearable, our first, digital denim suit. So that was like the embryo of the idea to kind of connect that Leon Bridges one of one outfit to an NFT project. And then it kind of it was a pretty easy selling in terms of we sort of structured the project in terms of we don't want to have a huge community. We need to keep this small and relatively contained, and that was a really good decision. I think we decided on 75 tokens to mark the 75 anniversaries. It was a digital only token, but we put utility into that, so every person who bought that would get a denim jacket, signed by Leon Bridges, would get access to a live performance from Leon Bridges. And these were things that, as I was investigating the space and understanding the types of utility that these projects were looking to give, or the types of utility that brands could potentially give, it was a combination of like IRL products, some incredible event that you wouldn't have access to, if you didn't have the NFT, and some digital assets. So we put the Decentraland wearable was airdropped to all our holders, and then sort of behind that, there's also this idea of our small community becoming like we talk about like a community of ambassadors of the brand. So we give our community insight and this is, led by me as someone who's passionate about the history and the stories behind the products. So I give that, in our private community, give those insights, feed that, like fuel that interest in the brand and what it is to be, the cowboy brand and the authentic denim brand and all the history that goes with that. And give also the community some tools like to help essentially think about one of the things I get very excited about with Web3 is the possibility of co-creation and working with the community to inspire and to think differently, especially as we approach, partners or opportunities in the space, to kind of use our community as a sounding board, to get feedback. This has been something that's been like highly valuable. It's caused the project to change slight tact and thinking about future utilities. And one of the best feedbacks I got from one of the town halls we did with the community was like, it should almost be like a badge of honor to be in the Wrangler NFT community. Like you have to be cowboy enough to sort of represent this group. So that's something we try to sort of drill down on and think carefully about. And we want to curate an experience for our holders that's like a way of getting closer to the brand that you would never have had in the past, right? And that's something, Wrangler has always been about community and supporting the Western lifestyle and being the kind of the backbone of that whole world. And think about the rodeo as like the ultimate kind of community event. Well, what we're trying to do is like a whole new rodeo, but bring some of that ethos of community with us in this sort of new frontier.
Yeah, that's really neat. And I guess up until now, it's been more of a challenge to foster that community because there hasn't been a way of actually proving ownership. And it sounds like that kind of just goes hand in hand with Wrangler. Like you need to prove you're cowboy enough. Well, how do you do that? You maybe own a specific NFT, or you have purchased a physical, piece of denim that then has an NFT attached to it and can verify, hey, you are cowboy enough for this community. What insights and lessons has Wrangler gained from entering this space? Has it all been positive, or it's been interesting to hear of how you've talked about receiving feedback from the community and that community involvement being helpful in honing the direction. But I'd love to hear you talk more about that.
Well, probably the first point on the sort of lessons and the learnings that we've had has been around how big brands, big known global brands enter the space, and it's all been about learning. Very, very explicitly, our project was about learning and growing and testing. It's not about revenue necessarily. Having said that, when we laid out the project, we had a certain goal about we wanted to sell this many tokens and this was the price. And it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy to get noticed. It wasn't easy, at the time of launch, the way we structured our, it was originally an auction. And I think a lot of those things we could have done better. And a lot of the ways that we could have reached the audience who, were willing to buy into the Wrangler NFT, they were not seeing the type of press that we had out there, which was the likes of Rolling Stone and Forbes. And it was a pivot at that point, having had the project out there and expecting a little bit more attention to be on us. And the attention is very hard to win in the sort of Web3 environment. So we pivoted and we just started speaking, regularly, multiple times a week on Twitter Spaces, and reaching, degens and people who are passionate about Web3 and NFTs and collectibles, and we, trying to tell the story about how jeanswear fits into this and how Leon Bridges can connect to that and what the utilities were. And that was really the success. It was a lot of learning was done during those conversations, and it really, it was just a super organic approach. And it's the way we gained all of our followers, all of our holders, has been through like me talking and explaining what we're trying to do and how we're trying to do it. And as a result of that, I know every single holder by name, spoke to them all individually. And that's kind of meaningful for a big brand. And they have this direct access to me. And I think that's interesting as a kind of a way of thinking. We sort of switched emphasis from trying to promote and sell the product of the NFT and just focus on our community instead, and delivering, great, exciting utility for them, and thinking about already building, partnerships and how can we expand and how can we grow a community around us with our core community or our holders, but how do we expand and be meaningful to the wider Web3 space, which is probably the best example of that is the Deadfellaz partnership.
Yeah. Well, and tell me more about that. How did you land that partnership, and why did you choose to partner with Deadfellaz or reach out to them? Was it you that reached out to them originally, or did their team reach out to Wrangler?
So we reached out to them actually, and we had a lot of as we looked at the project and thought about the future and how could we be more meaningful and connect. One of the the kind of obvious but important strategies for sort of legacy brands is to connect to the native Web3 brands. And I've been one of the first projects I bought was Deadfellaz, and I love the community. I love the ethos, the creativity, the sort of the openness, and it's a project run by Betty and Syke, who do an incredible job at making everybody feel welcome. And that was something that I took to Wrangler as an opportunity. Like, look, this is a project that has really great intentions. It has a community that is very creative. I love the way the Horde kind of adapt and take things on in a way that other projects maybe don't as strongly. So we targeted them, and we had this idea of undead denim. That was the original kind of thinking. So one of my other passions, so NFTs is a big passion of mine, and sort of the whole Web3 space. Another one is circularity, and thinking about resale as a real growth driver especially for denim. But how can we make that more exciting and a bigger piece of the pie for Wrangler going forward? And so we launched Reborn initiative last year as one of the anniversaries. It's like vintage Wrangler jeans. We sort of clean them up and we represent them. We sell them again on our .com, and that's forming, a bigger circularity strategy where we look to hopefully in the future, build out a resale platform, where we're getting
That's really
products
cool.
back in circulating. So we had this idea of taking some of these amazing vintage jeans and adjusting them and giving them away to the horde as a prize at the end of a project. And the project itself was this idea to work with the comic kind of style of Deadfellaz, make a comic, choose your own adventure type comic where the horde can actually vote on the process. And so Leon Lee, one of the artists at Deadfellaz, actually did an incredible job reacting to the horde, kind of voting on Twitter and then turning around the art, and it played out over a couple of weeks, I think. And the people who engaged and participated had a chance to win these 20 very, very special kind of jeans that were highlighting, a lot of what I see in this space as well is about, moving to physical products and making merch. I think it was really cool to put incredible merch out there that's not new, right? It's not from new resources. It's celebrating the beauty of old products as well. And that was a perfect fit with Deadfellaz, right? It's undead denim.
Yeah. That's
you have
so
this
cool.
kind of, you have this like beaten up, beautiful aesthetic, and we lasered the logo on the back pocket where the Wrangler patch would be. So that we had that product as a sort of super prize, and then we worked our way back and sort of built a project. We took it to Deadfellaz, and fortunately they loved it, and it was an incredible partnership, very creative led, and we got some amazing reactions from not just the community of the horde, but also like wider press. It was a great moment. Just still kind of enjoying that versus the feeling that we had when we were on our own and talking about our project. And I really feel like this is the unlock for us to look for ways to bring value to other projects that are native and use them to help sort of shine a light on all the good things we're trying to do.
When did that was towards the end of last year, right?
Yeah, I think September we did I believe it was September, we did the comic, like the choose your own adventure, and then towards the end of the year we delivered the products. I think November the jeans were shipped. And we also did, on the side of that, we also made a small capsule, like a exclusive denim jacket manufactured by Wrangler with Sykes. Syke made an artwork. We lasered that on the jacket, and we did a t-shirt as well, which was presented at, I think it went on sale just around the time of Halloween when they did their event in Los Angeles.
That's really cool. It kind of speaks to maybe one of the ways that, so this podcast has this Web3 has this nonprofit kind of bent. As I work at a large nonprofit. We're the world's leading authority on holistic child development. We serve over 2 million kids in 26 countries. And so really, we simply put, it's just like we want to release children from poverty and kind of help them as they age and grow and mature, and then become self-sustaining. And so, there's, nonprofits are all, they're simply put, they're organizations built around a set of values or ideals or a mission statement. And in a lot of ways, any and every organization is similar. And Wrangler has a rich history. Compassion, where I work, has a rich history, and there's so many other nonprofits that also have that history, but have it. They look at Web3 and they see, okay, maybe this is the next iteration of the internet, or they are even more convinced, and they're like, this is where the future of the internet is going. Everything will be built on blockchain technology, but they're like, how do we even enter the space? Where do we begin? And And maybe the answer is looking for those intentional partnerships, just like what you guys did with Deadfellaz.
I think it's a very good place to start, to be honest. Having gone through quite the journey on and feel and sensing the reward and feeling more of a sort of open arm reaction from the space has been really warming. One of the things I really realize is being true to yourself is super important, like true to your brand or your business. We have, this massive legacy of cowboys. With our Leon Bridges NFT, it was not so clear. It was Wrangler and it was Leon Bridges and it was music and fashion and and digital assets. And at that point, I think it's not as clear. And in this space, you need to be very, very distinct and very clear about who you are, and make something that's, just very, very easy to understand. And I think that our NFT maybe could have been easier to understand and drill down closer to what we're all about, which is like Western lifestyle, cowboy culture, and I think that was a big learning. Having said that, making something of quality that you can look back on and feel really confident that it was a good piece of work is more important than ever when it's happening on the blockchain. So we nothing is, we're not going to erase anything. Everything's going to be built on top of that original project. So it's I think it's important and relevant to think small, to start small and think to expand rather than to think big initially and then face issues. If as you maybe could, you change, right? This space is often about pivoting and being nimble, and I think you need the ability to adjust. And sometimes with big projects, your hands are tied. So I think that's a big learning. But I think partnering has been a really great thing for the brand, and we plan to do more partnerships. Just, I don't know if you noticed, on Friday last week we connected to Jeremy Booth, he's a amazing vector artist, who's doing very well in the sort of Web3 and NFT space, regularly recently in the top 10 on OpenSea, and his open edition is called Boots. His art is focused on sort of the Western tradition of art, and we just thought it'd be a really cool thing, with the current meta of open edition and NFTs that change, evolving. So he flipped over the metadata of his boots on Friday for the weekend, and it was switched over to a Wrangler jacket and a tease of something coming in the future, which we're super pumped about. So it's another way of us connecting to here, not an NFT project, but an actual artist in the space, young artist. Exciting work.
It gets to the power of storytelling too, and kind of what these dynamic NFTs that actually update and can be updated by the artist or the owner or the project publisher, allows for all kinds of cool possibilities when it comes to storytelling. I did see the announcement. I have Boots loaded up on OpenSea at the moment, and I saw now it's changed back to Boots, cowboy boots. Is Wrangler, is that an official like partnership that has happened between Boots or the Boots project and Wrangler?
Yeah, so we did it as a tease, as a signal of things to come in the future.
Can you tell us more about the things to come?
We're working on it, actually. I've had quite a few chats with Jeremy, and I can't reveal quite what we're planning yet, but it is going to be epic, and it's going to be something that I think it's just a really exciting way of connecting like apparel to him and his art. So we're trying to do something innovative. One of the things I'm committed to doing in this space is doing cool stuff, really interesting stuff, and be the jeans brand that is active in ways that kind of, highlight this technology, that try to bring something meaningful to the space, always trying to bring quality products and build community. That's kind of what we're here for. So this opportunity with Jeremy is just perfect. So I can't really reveal more, but look out, there'll be news coming.
Everyone should get a pair of boots, is what you're saying. Love it.
I think you need a pair of boots, right? That's what he's saying. It's the key to his unfolding journey, and he does a really incredible job of that, is articulating to his community of holders of boots that this is a token of participation in the journey that is going to play out, here in the new internet. And I think that's super exciting.
Yeah.
Our kind of next phase of our project is Web3. We start it in Web3. We work with our community, as I described to you, like we give them intel. So I also talk about the history of the brand and our creative vision. So almost treating our holders like they're onboarded as in like they work for the brand. So they get the same tools that I would give to someone as they join the business in a design role or a marketing role. They get that. And the idea here is that like this co-creation initial phase is to create the digital representation of the brand. We want to make a cowboy avatar that can interact with other projects, can interact in digital environments like games, like metaverse. And so it's one of the experiences we had with Deadfellaz is like when Wrangler turns up, we are a logo. We are the back pocket of a jean. Like there are recognizable aspects of the brand, but when we're in digital space, there's opportunities to be more expressive. And as you described, like Wrangler has this, you close your eyes, you see cowboys. Well, we own that in the physical world. The opportunity is really to think about owning that in digital realm. So we think one of the best first sort of starting points on that is to create an avatar, a digital representation. We're doing a lot of work, now taking it from the community and taking it to an agency and describing from our perspective, from the brand's perspective, what are the characteristics of this avatar? How does he or she look? What is consistent? What can change? And there's some really exciting ways that this avatar can kind of grow out of Web3 and touch into really meaningful, like games is one way that we really want to play it out, but also connecting to other brands that already have like more of a digital presence. So that's super exciting. And key to, I think, is a massive asset that we have this really strong, really clear digital opportunity around cowboy, different from many other brands. And I think that's something we really should grasp.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Sean, where can listeners find you online? And I'm assuming Wrangler is at Wrangler everywhere, but
yeah, at Wrangler. My name is Sean Web3 on Twitter, and you can find me on Instagram, go_Sean. And I think those are my name. And also on LinkedIn, you can find me by searching my name. But I'm around.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking some time today, Sean. I appreciate your insights and expertise, and it's exciting to see Wrangler entering this space, and I'm looking forward to what's in store.
Pleasure. Lovely to talk to you, Stephen. All the best.